Clash of Clans Podcast, OG, episode 48. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am your host, Scotty827, joined live in studio by the wonderful, the Wizard of Woo, and Karl from the both these guys from the Crystal Join podcast. Welcome to the podcast. I got through it.
Thanks for having us.
I didn't butcher your name. I didn't butcher your name this time. Oh my God, it's been mortifying.
I mean, no, it was absolutely legendary. And don't let your memes be dreams.
Oh, it was embarrassing. But we were talking about it afterwards, and I was like, and we were joking about stuff, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to take that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But so welcome. How's it going?
Everything is going great. How's all things with you, Scotty?
Good as always. We're just out of the February update and sitting down, and we had to start recording right away because let's just get into it a little bit, guys. What do you think? The February update. Where are you at in the game? How are you feeling about it?
I mean, for me, Scotty, it's everything is revolving around the new hard mode because it's almost like they put it in the name. It's pretty hard. I don't know if you've heard. Triple rates real down. Big
Is
time.
it really?
Yeah. It's I mean, before hard mode hit, when they announced like how much they were buffing it, everyone was like, oh my God, this is Town Hall 15 all over again, this, that, and the other. And yeah, like all the predictions were true. Like it's exponentially harder. So it's a whole, the comp scene is a brave new world. The meta itself, like the attacks that you're seeing hasn't changed like a ton. It definitely has changed, but it's basically just opened up being able to be a little bit more creative, because before hard mode was easy enough. Like, why risk anything that's fancy or creative, because it's just just a risk to fail or a risk to not attack quickly if it comes down to time. But now, like, all you're looking for is triples, right? And so, like, if you can do something creative and have a chance to triple, like, those are coming out more and more now. So I would say overall, it's amazing that you can do something a little bit more creative, but like the triple rates have just plummeted like massively with the new hard modes. That's been my life. It's just never been harder.
You had to dust off your fancy pants?
Fancy pants were a little too tight because of how big my snake bracelet was, Scotty. So
yeah, packing a snake bracelet.
Yeah. Just dumping all my ores into the snake bracelet, of course.
That's right. How about
Karl,
you? What are you thinking? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask Karl what level is snake bracelets at right now.
It's at 23 right now on my main, and my other one has 15. So we're doing pretty good.
That's the over under.
If you're somewhere between 15 and 23, you're
I'm not saying units. I'm not saying units on that.
I think you're measuring.
Karl said, he's nenever been harder. Well, I've never been softer. I feel like I am literally in
the pond.
Yeah, I'm Karl said I'm in my moose stage right now, and for those of you that may not have listened to Crystal the Join podcast or the Only Clash podcast, we had a friend that played with us for a while named Man-Made Moose, and he's a young guy. And he was having fun playing with us, and then life got in his in the way. He got on this Sigma male grind set where he was just all about lifting more weights and working hard and playing football. And Clash went to the wayside. And so Karl's like, Woo, what have you been up to, man? Like, are you been playing? Are you in your moose phase? So yeah, it's like semi-retirement for me. Karl's talking about how hard the game is in hard mode. I have not even attacked a single base in hard mode. You guys are both talking about like getting all your Legends League hits in and feeling add if you miss a few and that and pushing and whatnot. And I know that C2J's got a push right now. Don't care. I am in low legends. I am at like 51, 5,200 cups. I haven't even played my alt account, the mini, the Bone Crusher account this month. I don't think I played it at all. I checked to see if I got spun into CWL with it, and I didn't. And I was like, okay, cool. Not going to look at that account again. Just going to let it go. And I've just been coasting, getting a couple attacks in here and there, and doing regular wars. And we obviously we did CWL, which didn't go great. So right now the game for me, I feel like it's kind of stale. The update didn't do much for me. I haven't been doing much of the pro competitive stuff at all for months. So I'm just kind of in a holding pattern right now.
Just kind of waiting to see what happens. You're waiting people to figure it out, or just kind of waiting to
I'm just
something
kind of
to
waiting to
pop
see if
in.
I'm waiting to see if I can get a fire lit under me to like have a real like passion to play the game at the same level that I was playing maybe like I don't know, but before this update, I think at the end of last year I was pretty passionate about it, and then Town Hall 17, okay, we got some new toys. And this update to me like didn't really super impress. I didn't feel like there was there's a lot of little things, but I wasn't super impressed with the update overall.
Sound like me when the Eagle came out, where I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I just uh were you looking for something from it, like in the update, or was there something you were like hoping for, or is it just kind of in general like the grind?
I feel like they just kind of went more of the same, like
Yeah,
and honestly, I don't know if they could even win at this point because when they do something that's a little weird and creative, people say, "Oh, okay, well they broke the game with this troop or this pet or this ability or this equipment or whatever." So it's almost like I don't know if they could win if they think outside the box. We think it's broken. They do more of the same. It's boring. So I don't know. It would have to strike a real balance for me to like get super interested in what was going on. I did get that snake bracelet though. I did,
did
and mine's at
how
level
big is
18.
yours?
Level 18.
Ooh,
Level 18. We're right in that Goldilocks zone, Carl. 15 to 21. Is that what you said? Is that where we need to be? 15 to
mine's
23.
level 14, but I believe it's what you do
That's
with it
all
that
right. Yeah,
counts. It's what you do with it,
exactly.
right?
Mhm.
I believe that deep down. One day, there's orders for that. There's orders for that.
Mhm.
I can
So
get those up.
how do you feel about the update then, Scotty?
I For me, so like even like with Legends, it's pretty new to me, right? Like that part of it. Because I've only been in it for like a month and a half. So this is kind of like the first big update, I think, where I'm in Legends and then it's coming out. So then I'm not like hitting down to like Titan or whatever. So it's weird kind of figuring out the troop thing. And I think maybe with like League or Legend League, whatever, I'm kind of figuring that there's kind of like some holes in the play a little bit with like the 8 attacks and then having stuff to do and then being able to get not to get FCs, but like yeah, if you're on late at night and other people aren't around, it's like it would be nice to have a little bit of something more on that end and stuff. But like I don't know, we're just chatting a little bit about it. Like I felt like it was maybe it's just me, which is possible. But I kind of felt like it was like the news about it was disjointed because I did not have any idea that the the healers got a new level. And I started my baby drags, and so here I'm scrambling for research potions and stuff. And um, but I am though. I'll say this though. I am at that point of the game, like after I did the big push and got up to 17, where I am not like in a rush.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to hit like the end of the game like super fast. So I haven't just been pushing and stuff, and just been doing like hero books and stuff. But I feel, or because of like legend leagues too, the when you're requesting troops, you have to request the highest level, and if other people in there aren't doing that, like, I don't know, just some weird
Yeah.
things with like interaction a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of all new to me a little bit. Uh, I don't know, Karl.
I I don't think you need to worry about running out of stuff to do or rushing because with the supercharges now, like it felt like when the
Oh,
update came, they did it incrementally, and it's like you ran out of stuff so quickly. Like at the last town hall level, it's like the update came out and it was like pretty quick, and you were like kind of done with upgrades. Now it feels like you're never done with upgrades because it's like even if you're doing like all your attacks and like using all your medals and everything like that, there was like very few people that were like all the way done that didn't spend a whole bunch of money. And then the new ones came out with even more supercharges, whatever. It just feels like it's I don't. It feels like extra daunting. I'm sure this is the way the game is going now, where like the supercharges are just like another sink for resources. But like, and maybe it's when you can skip the supercharges and just go to the next town hall level eventually. Like if you want to rush up, but like to
oh
me,
yeah, I
it feels
suppose.
like it feels like for the max players that there's just like way more stuff sitting in your queue to do, and it's a little bit like there's always something to use all your magic items on. I don't know.
Is
It's
that
just,
good?
I don't know. Like I guess so.
Mm.
Like I mean, it definitely makes you have to keep playing, but I would like to not to have to keep playing on my main
You want
account and do one of the
you,
other ones, or feel like I have to go dump all my CWO medals so I can, be max for the comp team. I don't know. It's always this is the first time I've ever felt like I might not be fully max until the very end just because there's so much stuff to do.
do you think that's because of like the drop in equipment? Like, what is it that's different that is keeping you on that have to stay engaged level?
I think it's just Supercell manufacturing more
More shit to do.
yeah, just more things that they're forcing engagement if you want to keep into it. Which is like I guess that's what you want, but at the same time, like it's kind of double-edged sword. Like if it feels too daunting, you might quit. If you feel like you're never going to get there, you might just skip part of the game. Oh, I feel like it's a little bit of a razor-edged sword of like maybe you're going to burn out some players because some players might want to just get to max and then just do their 2 war hits and hang out with their
Yeah.
friends. You know what I mean? So like maybe they should just be careful with having too much stuff to do and feel too grindy.
Uh, yeah, that's I mean, hard for Supercell. I don't know. I was listening to your last episode. So like before, we're kind of talking about like, are we going to go competitive and stuff and kind of figuring out like and learning more about your guys' clan and like how that um kind of stuff works. And then listening, to your episodes and as I was listening, I couldn't help but think, I wonder if it isn't in the end the type of experience that th- that the player wants, and almost if Supercell should like approach the problem different, and instead of like having a CWL league or a legend league, like I'm like I'm still like kind of thinking through it, but like the CWL grind, that league, that everyday league, might be one type of experience where you're gonna be in a clan league, that a war league that is about the type of experience, like the uber competitive, that to stay in it you're gonna, or like the um like the classic mode where it's like it is now, and every person or every specialty or whatever it would be would have like their own leaderboard, and you know what I'm saying, like something that maybe just caters to the experience. I don't know if that means anything.
Well, I mean, I feel like to Carl's point with how much little piddly stuff they kind of put in this update. I feel like they're not really thinking too much about the experience. I think they're just crunching numbers when it comes to what the casual player's triple rate's going to be, what the expected income is going to be from all the upgrades, and what the whales are going to spend on the game. And I heard some criticism of the update specifically when it came to supercharged buildings. Essentially, the criticism is when supercharged buildings defenses first came out, the explanation for it was like, hey, we don't have an update coming out, but we know you guys have resources and you're just sitting on piles. So we're gonna put something in the game so that you guys can have something to spend those resources on and have something else to work towards, but it won't be permanent. When the next level building comes out, those supercharges will go away. And everybody was kind of like, okay, makes sense. Max players can go max plus, right? But then they put out this update, and the new levels were already had 2 levels of supercharge, and you're like, okay, I thought that was going to be like a holdover, like a stopgap between one update to the next, and they did it immediately. And so, to
They
Carl's
didn't tease
point,
you. They didn't tease
no,
you.
right, and we like a little tease, we like a little edge, and double edge. Anyway, but to Carl's point, it's you're getting FOMO, and it's like the worst FOMO, right? Because the supercharge is such a small buff to, to those defensive structures. But if you're playing in a champs CWL league or in a pro match or competitively, then you feel bad if you can't defend and you just didn't spend the money to rush up and get those supercharges done. So I feel like it was a little bit of a money grab, and it's not a good FOMO feeling. Like, to me, a good FOMO feeling is there's new equipment, and it's like, let me get that equipment, I want to play with it, I want to, a bad one is like, hey, you poor, you don't have you didn't spend enough gems or money or whatever, books or whatever, to get supercharged levels done. I feel like that's a little bit of a bad play experience right off the jump of an update.
Well, and I didn't think about it like that way, right? That if you are at your level, like in war, CWL and the wars that you guys are in, the day the update drops, you're at a severe disadvantage.
100%.
Or I guess I should say the war leagues or the leaderboards kind of go up into play because there's a brand new thing based on strength.
Well, and here's another thing too, Scotty. Like, this event, to get this snake bracelet, popped off in the middle of CWL. So, if you were just a casual player, or even if you played with even if you bought the pass, the for the event, you still would have had to grind out attacks to get enough medals to get the snake bracelet, if that's what you wanted, if it was OP. But if you were just a straight up, I'm spending cash on this game player, as soon as that event drops, you can spend the money and buy the gem, spend the gems, and you can get that snake bracelet day one, max it out, blah blah blah. So why are we releasing new stuff like that in the middle of CWL, if not to create a situation where people will spend money to just have the new thing immediately?
Karl?
I don't want to say there was a few good things, but there was a few good things. So I don't.
I'm not gonna hate on you, Karl.
No,
I'm not gonna hate
a few things. So I do believe that there was the problem is the normal mode versus hard mode thing, because definitely there's some big differences. Some things just don't hold up.
Yeah, I just did my
hard
first
mode.
hard mode today, so that I'm just dipping my toe in the pond so far.
Miners, it was funny because everyone was like, hey, when they got a miner level, everyone was like, spam 40 miners, easy triple. Well, turns out that wasn't really a thing. Miners weren't as good as it's hard because everything's the clickbait title these days. If you don't do OP with the big face, miner weren't as good. The extra level for the bowlers made super bowlers, even in hard mode, super bowlers okay. I even tripled with super bowlers in hard mode with the snake bracelet. That's how much the extra level went.
I'm going back to my super bowler army for hard mode. Sorry.
It's good. It's interesting because there's a couple different ways you can use the warden equipment. I've seen double gem, I've seen tome. So that it is kind of interesting that there's some flexibility there. So to me, like the Super Bowlers with like goofing around with the equipment, you can definitely do different between hard and mode and
Well, hold on.
normal
You're
mode.
saying that if you get those balls bouncing and you got that big snake out there, it's an easy triple. Is that what you're saying?
I was running like there was a time where it was just accidentally I was going I think I was going life gem and healing tome, and I did the tome just in time to catch a whole bunch of snakes. It was the first time I saw like 20 snakes on the base like just doing his thing in the tome, which was like pretty interesting. But the problem is, Scotty, I'm going to warn you, Super Bowlers are amazing, but they're so hard. Like the pathing now, like with
I've been
how
running
good
them
some of the bases
forever.
are. Okay,
I've been
Super
running them
Bowl,
forever
they're hard, but they're
until like
good.
2 weeks ago. I'll be able to try something with them. Of
Okay,
all the
yes,
troops, I'm probably the best with bowlers. Not
okay,
effective,
nice.
Love it.
but I'm the best with them.
Sliding scale.
Yeah. I feel the
Um,
most confident.
There you
and
go.
and maybe it's just because they only want so many options in the game, but like the troop launcher was like is a pretty neat idea, and people have been goofing
Mhm.
around with it a lot.
Have you
Like
seen
I
it?
w- yes, I actually used it quite a bit because Itsu did his Smash Army with the troop launcher, where you would be able to toss in Coco Loons and Ice Golems and such like that. Um, and we just have, I mean, we so like trying to be as completely objective as possible. Like, no kidding, we have like a top 50 player in the world in our clan that plays with us like every day. So like we get to see like pretty, and he's like one of the top creative players like in the game. So it's just lucky that this person decided that we were like just fun enough to play around with. So I do
Yeah.
get that we're a little spoiled where we get to see some of this stuff where like he'll just invent something and then like all of a sudden in Eric stream you'll hear him talking about it
Yeah.
and I'm like, Fatal invented that, you didn't invent that, like that kind of thing. Um but so it is pretty neat, and I think it's like if they did more of those kind of like little niche things that that it would like really spice it up, because I do believe people like that idea and want to goof around with it. It's just that I think it happens a little bit less because people like get too sweaty because there's like the
Yeah.
stigma of like if you didn't go 320 in Legends, like you're a bad player. When it's like just goof around with it, because is it really, you're not like, so let's say you get one top 1K in Legends, what does that really mean? I guess you're proud of yourself, but like have fun and experiment with this new stuff is what I would say to do. But so
Yeah.
there's some cool stuff with it, and I think the troop launcher, if they would do more things like that, I think would be great. The thing that I think that they totally screwed up on is when they nerf something, and I know that as again, I'm not being objective about it, but like the
You
stupid
don't have to be
town hall
objective.
burn,
You're not a
like the stupid
journalist.
the stupid town hall burn basically like killed, like made donuts so much harder. So it's
Mm.
like the town hall gets the thing off, you got the burn on the ground, like unless you uh waste a whole bunch of freezes, which don't really do a thing. Basically you have to do a donut outside of the burn range of the town hall, or you have to overgrowth the town hall, which then you're wasting another 2 spell space to do in a donut. It's like super wild. And then they nerf the invis spell that it's like a quarter of a second or whatever, which is also a
Yeah.
nerf the donuts, which I think is a very skillful attack that people like to do or like to have in their arsenal. So if you're going to do that, buff the damage of the skellies, because really the skelly damage doesn't really matter, right? The skellies
Yeah.
is just a distraction troop. So buff the
Right.
damage of the skellies so that way the donut ends up like a net equal, and because you nerf the invis spell. I don't know. There's like little
Okay.
balance things like that that they could do and they just haven't done yet, and it's driving me
What's this
batty.
town hall
But
thing? What's this town hall
so
thing?
because your favorite defense, the eagle, is now merged into the town hall, and so
Yeah.
when it shoots out the stuff, it leaves a little like damage over time, damage on the
Yeah.
ground, and it will burn up your skeleton trap, like your skellies from your not skeleton trap, but burn up your skellies from your skelly spell. So when you're
But
trying to
wasn't
do
that
a
there
skelly,
before?
no. So like before the town hall, when it blew up, it would have that damage over time over top the town hall
Yeah.
and the poison. So now it shoots out the damage over the time. So if like it sees a troop, it'll shoot it out and then make a burn there.
Yeah, but what changed in the update?
Oh, sorry, the
Invis.
invis spell, it got nerfed a quarter of
Shorter.
a second or something. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I thought
yeah.
you were okay. I thought that there was some added to the town hall that I missed, and
Oh
I
no,
was
sorry.
like, I was
because
Okay. Never
it's funny
mind.
too because the donuts kind of came back because people were doing donuts without invis now because of how base designs are. People were doing YouTube attacks doing a donut without invis because they were doing it at places that didn't have splash. So it was kind of interesting where there's this another level of creativity. But then I guess Supercell, like when they make an update, they kind of don't balance it or try to tweak it a little bit to kind of keep that level of ingenuity in the game. So I would like to see them kind of do that, especially for something that was like as famous as like Skelly Donuts were, because there was like tons of clickbait titles about it. So
Think I live in a different world than you guys sometimes. I mean, I guess you guys get to see like the very particulars of like how it's all playing out much faster too. You know, if like people are upgrading and you're seeing that stuff, because like I guess this stuff I'm seeing like kind of trickle in, and I maybe I'm not so observant. I'm like, yeah, this base is working a little bit better, but weren't the donuts coming in right before the update too? Or do you mean a
uh,
donut attack? Or
the donuts were super popular at 14. They
Mhm.
were okay at 15. 16, they started to trickle away. You didn't see them much. And then, like, if you see a donut in 17, it's like a super rare sight. Like, it
Yeah.
a
basically
donut
kind of
base?
died with 15.
Oh no,
Like
it's
the
a
donut opener.
yeah.
Sorry, dude. Have you heard about the Skelly donut yet, Scotty?
No.
Is this a new term for you? Um,
Yeah.
so at Town Hall 14, it got
Pretend I'm an
created.
idiot.
Maybe it was at 13. It was at 13, but it was like it really became prominent at 14. So
Yeah.
basically, the Skelly spell spawns, I don't know, whatever, 15 skeletons or whatever. So basically you deploy skeleton spells or bat spells, and then you put an invis over top of them. So basically they get to attack the
Oh,
middle
okay.
of the base.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I've seen that.
so it's like so basically if you're good at it, you can pick a couple of defenses depending on spacing, and you basically start your attack. I mean, you sacrifice spell space and whatever 30 seconds to do your donut, but you get to pick key defenses to get destroyed at the start of the attack. And most often you take out the clan castle, because I would say almost all pro players would say that the most important defense is the clan castle, especially these days because like not having your troops get stalled up by ice golems is like the biggest thing you can do for your attack. Like that's literally the best defense, is if your troops get stalled up in an ice golem in the middle of the defense. Like that's by far the best thing on defense that you can do.
So like, they're tucking them way deeper?
So
Or
it's yeah,
just
it's like not being able to pull. So you don't. So like you put your CC, so it's harder to pull. And then if you don't pull it early and try to be able to manage it, like you want the base designers want you to engage the CC at a very awkward time, so that way you're stalled up while taking damage, that kind of thing.
uh,
But yeah, so if you can take out the CC first thing right off the bat and have minimal
yeah.
investment or normal investment, that's probably one of the better things you can do for an opener as attacker.
Are you designing your base too? Or are you holding it out for Ghost Knight?
No,
And your free promotional stuff.
I bought, so because of these my lovely friends that I'm supporting,
Mhm.
obviously, I've bought so many. I have like 6 months of bases I've already pre-purchased, so I don't have to worry about bases for like half a year at this point. Actually, Ghost Knight has been testing bases all day, and
Yeah.
I must say there's a lot of triples in the chat, so I'm hoping he's not trying to sell me those bases because I'm watching him get wrecked right now.
Get those receipts.
Yeah.
uh so you're not Warren?
No,
Ooh?
oh, sorry. Go
Or
ahead.
So I'm not doing anything competitive right now. I'm way down on the bench. Like, would have to be a ridiculous emergency at this point. I know I've made this joke many times, but I am way down on the bench. Anything competitive right now, just because I haven't been as active in the game. As I and honestly, like I think if I put my hand up and say, hey, I want to do this, I'm sure there would be some conversations behind the scenes about like, should we allow this to happen? But I'm pretty sure I've earned enough. I've paid my dues long enough that it'd be like, all
this
right, throw him in on this one. Like, let him play this one. But I
they
I
start
just
talking about
haven't.
it and you run to the bathroom quick.
Yeah, I
Roles are being
it's
assigned.
definitely happened. It's definitely happened. Um, But yeah, I mean, I did CWL and I'm doing all the normal spins in C2J. I just haven't done any of the competitive stuff like a lot of the guys in the clan are doing right now.
I was wondering about this, right? As I'm learning what I don't know. And when you're talking about like being in the competitive, like when you're like doing competitive, right? Like your normal competitive self, like, or maybe your prime, or when you were like and for Karl too, like what does that look like? Is that like a tournament 3 times a week? And or is that like what's that level of like engagement for you guys like?
It depends on how many. It kind of depends on you, because your team, because there's like uh, dips in how many tournaments are going on, but basically there's like so many tournaments you could be doing matches like all the time. So I would say
Yeah.
like right now we're probably in 9 leagues. So like some of them you could it depends on the league too. Some of them like you're in a little like a bracket. So there's like four teams in your little group, and if you win the group then you go on to the bracket, or you start off in a bracket and it's single elimination or double elimination. So it kind of, I think we're like in 9 different tournaments right now, and which is like a couple matches a week. I would say anywhere between like 4 and 7 for that. And then you'll get signed up. So like tomorrow, I gotta wake up at like 8 a.m. to go play World's warm ups, which is like match after match
Yeah,
after match. So like we're doing that one for the FTB team. So like
probably gonna
find this.
match you and win.
So it's like so it kind of
With my
depends because
bowlers. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I actually am gonna try to use bowlers tomorrow for sure.
Are you?
To go.
Yeah. So and then there's like Vodka Soda and I are doing like a duo tournament from like the Only Lalo. So like that's like once a week we got to go do our duo match, which is like 2v2. So it like just depends on how much clash you want to do. And then it's like uh if you're doing the comp scene, usually you're doing friendly wars too. So like usually you do like a friendly war or two a night.
A night?
Yeah. So like pretty much almost every night we do at least one friendly war, and it's not like super serious. We just goofing around, like find some like usually there's a Twitch stream that's like looking for friendly wars, and there's like friendly war servers that people are looking for. So it's usually pretty easy to get a squad
Find
together and
some.
like do at least one friendly war a night.
So you guys all like you get together and you go, there's 5 of us for a
Hmm.
friendly war, and then
Yeah.
run it, test bases. Like it's like a practice.
Uh.
Or
Yeah. It's like just practice attacking. Usually you don't run any good bases really. Like you
Yeah.
just run whatever bases,
because you
because
don't
like
want
your
them to
good
see
ones
it.
you want to save. Yeah, because people do watch the stream. Um, fun story too about this. I'm diving this one. So like,
Ooh.
uh,
Inside baseball.
yeah. So I don't know if you noticed, like your clan and podcast has a history with One Hive. I know you guys do. Um, you have
Yeah.
people on the show. Like you guys beat One Hive in their prime. You got all this stuff going on, right?
Yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, yeah, I
uh,
guess like an
yes.
ancient, like,
Yeah,
yeah, like a
the old
long
school.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
It's lore.
Uh,
It's lore.
it is
Yeah.
Lore,
lore,
yeah.
100%. Well, One Hive has changed a lot over the years. Um, and recently there's been like a little bit of like some drama there where like quite a few players left actually, and we actually picked up a few One Hive players in the comp team and in the clan. And just because circumstances may be, Scotty, we actually matched them in an actual. Like, they brought back their competitive team. We actually matched them in a competitive war, and
Oh.
some of like their former players that are on the Find the Space team, because there's like multiple Find the Space teams. So like the C2J Find the Space team actually matched them, and so it was like a big deal. For them, they were like, "You got to beat One Hive, this, that, and the other," because allegedly there might have been
Yeah.
some bad blood with people leaving, blah 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 blah. Um, and so like um So there was like some things because we had like played them in friendly wars before because they actually kept trying to ask one of our players to like join their comp team, and we're like, "What are you talking about? The place for us." um, they like tried to buy him out and all this other stuff like that. Blah blah blah.
Wow.
So we actually matched them, and so it was like a big deal of like, you guys got to beat them, this, that, the other, and it's like honestly, it's just like another team, right? Like the One Hive name actually, like people remember it, but it's like not a big name anymore. Like
Yeah.
realistically, like they're not huge, like they're not winning tournaments, they're not going to whatever. I mean, they're a good clan, but um, but because of the history and because they knew some of the players and whatever else, when we faced them,
Throwdown.
yeah, it was a throwdown, but like, and this was pre the hard. This was the old hard mode. This was like the 5%
Or
hard mode, not the
hard
20%.
mode 2.
Yeah, it's not hard mode 2.0.
Mm.
And like, honestly, we went into this thing. You know, they were like, we had like a lot of fans on this one, and so we come in right off the bat. We get 2 triples. They get a miss. So we're up 6-5. We have like Ghost Knight coming up. We have Fatal coming up. Fatal's like the
hands are
really
sweating.
super great player that tries to get poached or whatever. And so we have Ghost Knight and Fatal and Metrics left to go hit, and we're up by a star. And so like everyone was like spirits are high or whatever. Vodka and I already tripled, so like we're kicking back. We're already having our mojitos and our and our gin and tonics,
My hands
getting
are
the
sweating.
popcorns ready.
Just-
And like Fatal like sold, like maybe this was a mistake. We sold out on the traps to try to like super bait some attacks or whatever, which some of them actually backfired. But
Ooh.
but then the funny thing is we ended up losing 13-13. We like lost on percentage. So we
no.
lost to One Hive. So you can imagine how much flack we got from the people who left One Hive to come to find this base. But then it turns out that One Hive, because they wanted to win this one so bad, at least that's the story that I'm making up, of why they did this. But they went and bought all custom synchronic bases to run against us because of they knew like the players or whatever. So it like kind of like a fun thing.
Like
So
there
that's
was.
yeah.
Well,
So that's why
that's
you
good
want
that
to
they
keep all
felt
your.
like you were like at that
Oh
level
yeah,
that they had to do that.
they were gunning for us. Yeah. But that's why you want to keep all your like bases that you really want like secret.
Yeah.
Like you want to be careful about like who's in the clan, friends list, because people do watch that. Like you do see people on Twitch when they see you doing stuff like that, they'll come in and watch. And it's like surprising how often that actually does happen where people are trying to creep on your bases. So you want to keep those ones secret.
Yeah. Well, look,
Oh,
what is find that
it-
base and stuff. It's like sorry.
Yeah.
oh yeah, no. And I was gonna say, and to be fair, those conversations happen in our chat as well. It's like, oh hey, base 4, I just saw that on such and such stream, and then somebody will go back and try to pull it up and look at it, you know. So yeah, I mean that's just that's very common practice. If you can get a little bit of an edge, then that's what you're gonna do.
Well, and that's what that level of competition is kind of about, right? Like every little ounce of something is gonna make the difference in the end.
Or you just YOLO.
YOLO.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
don't know.
anyways,
Sorry,
yeah.
go for it.
GG is the One Hive. I had to throw it out there. You guys beat us fair and square. We'll get you next time.
That's an enduring name, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
after all these years. Was there anything from the update that was like, hell yeah?
Well, I like that new font, you know, on the resources. That was a W. That was a big W.
All the animation and graphics changes was like surprising to me. Like the
Did you
free spell
like 'em?
being different.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I like them or not. They're definitely different. I like didn't know the first time I saw a free spell. I didn't know what was happening. I like was
What
like,
idea
what
was that?
Wait, what's that?
Yeah, it was like, and it's kind of like the anime one. It kind of reminded me of like
There's like a little
when I saw
poof to it.
that's like another one of those changes that was like surprising to me. Like weren't put out there, or maybe they were and I just didn't miss it. But usually when like an update comes out, it feels like we know almost everything but like one or two things or something. And I, you know, I don't know if it was just me.
Yeah. All the same way.
Any other good thing? So you like the troop launcher. I was pretty
Mhm.
happy about that. I haven't got to use it yet though, because I'm doing this stuff. What do you think about the alchemist? I suppose, does it matter to
I
you?
did get it on my
Oh,
alt. I did buy it for
You
100
did?
gems. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did too. I need it though, because I still don't have my heroes maxed.
Yeah, because it's like for 100 gems, I basically take it as 2 or 3 free attacks a day because like at a certain point, like you only care about one of the resources. Usually for me, it's gold. And if I
Yeah.
have regular elixir or dark that I can just turn into like whatever 1.5 million gold, that's like 1 or 2 free attacks that I don't have to do. So for 100 gems each day, I can basically get 2 free attacks on my second account, and then that saves me time during the day. So that's why, and it was just also for like content too, to like be able to talk about on the podcast or whatever. So I thought for 100 gems, it's not too bad for
Yeah.
the conversion rate for a 17. So I thought it was pretty decent.
Considering the last one, 500.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
yeah,
way too
no
much.
doubt.
Woo,
I
alchemist.
mean, I felt like they should have had some kind of a conversion rate in the game for a long time. And when I saw that and I saw it cost gems, I just kind of shook my head. And I know it's not a lot of gems, but I'm just like, that there's some 9-year-old out there who's ringing up mom's credit card for a sack of gems to get that thing, and he's grounded for a week right now. And it's like, man, could we not
Wait.
just give it away? Like, you could play with the exchange rate, but just like give the level 1 alchemist away so everybody has access to it, and then
Oh, I
you can play
suppose.
with the exchange rate with gems, which I know they already do, but it's like, come on.
Well, they could be stealing cars. So if they're getting in trouble from.
So wait,
It could be the next Kia boys.
you're saying this update is keeping the kids off the streets?
I think so.
All right. You won me over, Scotty. It's a good update.
Listen.
I'm gonna have to agree with that.
No, I think that's a good point too about, I mean, playing and then for people who don't have money too. But I think
Mhm.
for that first level, yeah, why not? I am kind of interested why they have it. You have to assign the helper, right? Is it the other one called the helper or helper's assistant, or
Lab
for the
assistant.
lab assistant or whatever?
Yeah,
Because there's only one thing, so why not just automatically have it go?
Scotty,
yeah.
it's FOMO, Scotty. It's oh my gosh, did I started that update. I started that upgrade. Did I assign it? Oh, I got to log back into the game.
Mhm.
Ding, we got another person logging in. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it's like reason that they add like we always talk about like can we please remove clicks, right? When we talk about like quality of life. The reason that click will never be removed is because it is forcing activity essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. Um, I don't always feel like it's less nefarious in some ways. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
um, I mean, just like, I mean, even compared to like an hour on TikTok, you know what I'm saying? Like the the level, like I don't know. I've always kind of felt like they've kept it pretty decently able for the free to play over like from the other things that I've been
Mhm.
in,
Oh
where
yeah,
it's just
I mean,
so
yeah.
annoying. It's like
Oh
it's
yeah,
just they like annoy you to not do it.
sure.
But I do see it like creeping in a lot with like the FOMO with like the notifications on like CWL things, or even for like sitting there with that next level is what, 500 gems or something for me on
Mhm.
the I'm like, ooh, or
Staring you
I
down.
like I look at the builder's apprentice and I'm like, God, what did that, is this gonna make
Mhm.
Dude,
I
the best one in the whole game is when they have that extra working goblin that you can spend gems to have him do other upgrades, and he's looking up at you with like puppy dog gem eyes, like,
play with me,
please, please spend gems, and I'll do whatever you ask me to do. It's
play
like
with me, daddy.
yeah, seriously, that one's pretty cringe with the gem eyes and like the puppy dog face.
But I suppose I have to like give a way for the end players to come up faster. in some ways, right?
Mhm.
Without taking away too much. Like, so that for, a year of playing is what? The same or shorter? Like, in the end?
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the upgrade times now where I'm kind of at, because I'm playing, like, the 2, I mean, that's gotta be a weird balance to always have to, like, bring it back so there's, like, never an end unless you want it to be. I don't know,
No, yeah.
like,
I don't
to
think
make it
I don't
continue.
think they want. I mean, there is an end game obviously right now because every update it's like okay, you get maxed, you're playing that in game. Um, but I don't. I think I mean, the supercharging was like beginning of this next level of extending. It's like it's literally the lowest effort. Like there's nothing to it. It's literally like, hey, here's a little something extra, and you're gonna spend your resources on it. And again, most people, probably casual players, will just look at that as like, okay, great. If I ever get to that level, then I'll do that. Or like you said, like Carl
Yeah.
said, if you're rushing, you're just gonna skip all that stuff anyway until you get up to the max town hall.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
But then there are those players that are going to be like, it's got to be done day one. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's
Yeah.
not supercharged day one. And so there is the whales. I mean, that's what's keeping the game alive. The casuals don't keep the game alive. The activity level's fine, the gold pass is fine, but there's whales that are spending money on the game on a regular basis. They're buying packs. That's what's really generating, a huge amount of revenue for the game, I'm sure.
Do you think it makes that much of a difference? I mean, like, do you think it just, like, leveling it up, like, it makes a, like, complete difference? Or is it, like, just a
I don't
complete uneven at that
I don't
point?
think it does. I think it's just the FOMO. It's you create a situation, and Carl and I have talked about this many times, where it's like we say we want to play the game we want to the way we want to play, right?
Yeah.
But like when you put an event in the game that says, "Hey, the only way you can get this thing is if you basically log in every day, or if you get a triple every day, or if you complete this path that's going to cost you this much of your time and your attacks or your money." It's like, well, I'm having to play the game kind of like on their terms. And their terms is to drive up engagement and get people to have FOMO so they spend money if they can't get the engagement. One
The
one way or the other.
dopamine and the
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's a for-profit game, obviously. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't make money. It's just that it used to be just gems, right? And I know that now when they've introduced all these books and potions and all that stuff, these were big things in the game when they introduced them. And they tease you and give you a little bit here and there for free, and you have other currencies in the game that you can exchange and get stuff for free in exchange for your time, you know. But then they'll sell them all to you, right? So it's not just like, "Oh, hey, I get this much for free every month." Yeah, that's cool. Like then you can spend money and buy them. And so that's generating a tremendous amount of revenue. So introducing those things was never like, "Hey, we're going to introduce this thing just so people get stuff for free." They're introducing it so they can eventually sell it to you. I mean, that's the whole point of introducing these new in any of these new features is so we can sell it to you.
you think it'd be better to have, um, just achievement-based, time-based things? Is that kinda what you're saying too? Like,
I
that
would
something
love if
that
they
people
did
couldn't buy?
honestly, I would love if they did something more with plan levels. They did something more with your XP of your account, and if they did something more on those individual achievements. It's like, I mean, I think I have like two left on my main account that I haven't achieved. And first of all, like defending 5,000 attacks is completely ridiculous in this meta, in this state of the game.
Oh,
Early
ever.
game, yeah, early game, you could farm at the lower levels and really get that, like I'm sure in a decent amount of time, but the game has gotten to the point to where like that's not even really achievable. So, I've also talked about that they could do some really cool stuff with single player maps. And they've played around with that a little bit with some of these challenges and events that they've had recently with like single player maps with a reward tier system. I think they could do even more in that vein. And to your point, Scotty, I mean, like you said, like, hey, certain times of the day it might be hard. Like, hey, I've got all my legends hits in, or what I'm waiting for troops, so it's like I want to do some FCs and there's nobody to do FCs. I think it'd be cool if there were, other ways that you could play the game outside of just those ways. The main village, not the other stuff they
It'd
got
be kind
going
of
on.
cool to have like a global chat FC where you like.
Just
I mean,
post a
not
base.
really, not really,
Post a
not
base
yeah,
and hit
just
it.
the
Oh yeah.
just post a
Well,
base,
that's interesting because there's a ton of games that
hit and
allow
quit it.
people to create like stages or whatever. I mean, think about like Mario Maker, right? It's like play this person's stage that they created. And you can just go in there and here's your little guy and you go have to beat that stage. So like I don't see like the only problem they would have is people making memes or inappropriate things out of walls and buildings and stuff. But like you can have a filter on that and people could submit bases and you could attack them. I think that's a great idea.
Do you think it would be that much of a problem for like that people would just be if you could like post it, people would be putting like
Oh, yeah, of course they would put nasty shit and spell it out with the walls, and then it would be reported and taken down. Of course, yeah, gonna happen. Gonna happen.
yeah, I suppose join us,
Partly why
join me,
it's, par-
free code
it's partly why global doesn't
too.
exist anymore, right? You just open yourself up when you have people interacting that maybe didn't ask for the interaction specifically. You're
Yeah,
opening yourself up to some problems. So that's
I suppose
one thing.
and on the base level too, like it's not like you can just like how sensitive some of the clan chat is around like a certain word or something.
Sure.
Mhm.
But like in a base design, it's like it's how
Yeah,
does it censor boobs?
just imagine
Yeah.
having a clanmate called Knob, Scotty, the censorship.
Yeah, right. What?
Around that.
What? Oh God, I suppose. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and you think about so many of our names, right? And then Supercell is like no swearing or well,
Mhm.
how am I supposed to shout out anybody in my clan?
Yeah.
You know?
What did you think of them randomly checking your age again, by the way? The game is so long that you've grown up now and you can say that you're not 12 years old anymore. You can say you're 22 or whatever. I thought that was interesting that they checked age again, or had you put your age back in?
Yeah, why
Weird.
do you think that was?
I
I
I
didn't
think
lie
this
though. I was so surprised I didn't lie.
Yeah, as the easiest I'm 69 years old I've ever been in my life. I think it's just the game has been so long, and maybe some people wanted the kid filter off their account because now they're adults. I think it's the
Mm,
thing. So I
yeah.
I thought that was nice that they did that because it was like a permanent account thing, basically. So
Wait, what?
step in the
What do
right
you mean?
direction. Like if you put your real age when you first started your account, and then you were in the you would censor the clan that you were in, right? Because your account was not an adult account. But now
Oh,
you can
okay.
make your account a not adult account, so you don't have all the little asterisks going on.
Wait, so my asterisks might go away?
Yeah, well, like, it depends on who's in your clan, but yeah, so there'll probably be less people in your clan now that will queue up more censorship because they probably put their new age now, which is a lot older, that puts you out of that range.
Oh, so they censor less.
It'll hopefully it should censor less because people have gotten older that have had their account is the way I would take it.
Unless you guys have recruited a lot of 14-year-olds, then you're gonna have the
Then
same
it should
Then
be
that's
level of
on
a
you.
censorship. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I haven't been able to say a word for days. No. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. I do have like one point when you're talking about the making money there. I did think it was a big win that you can buy the equipment in the league shop now and don't have to spend money because 1,500 gems was a decent amount of gems to buy an equipment.
Yeah.
And some of those equipments were like must have. Like if you just
Mhm.
missed it for some reason, you took a month off or you just used your
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that that was a huge win. I didn't think it was like that overpriced. I mean, 750 is like 2 months of CWL, but it was like
Right.
obtainable. Like I didn't think it was atrocious. So I thought that was a
Know what
win.
CWL you're in? No. Just kidding.
Well, and what's
No.
interesting about that is that you can't buy CWL medals, you know?
Yeah.
You have to play the game, you have to participate. So, I think that is a good thing that it's like you are rewarding people for engaging in the game in that way, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that idea of like having something that only achievement or
Yep.
time or effort, um and then that gets into like the buying account thing, right? But um if you can have that in there, it's like I don't know, it reminds me of like Ready Player One. I don't know,
Hmm.
like if
Love
you guys
it.
seen that or whatever,
I even
you
read
know,
the
and
book.
me too. Like, and just to have like
Nerds.
that kind of like,
It's the only book I read in the last 10 years, Wu, so.
All right, all right, all
it
right.
was a perfect book to read in the if that's the only one you read in the last 10 years, because like with all the pop culture, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god. But
Mm-hmm.
like you whatever it is like that only something you can earn through effort that you can't just like you said pay your way to the top, like you can't like attack wins, right? You can't buy those, and so maybe like there's certain things that could maybe instead of gems even like that certain percentage of those achievements, right? Like, and I think like the friend in need one I think is a good one where you're like um it takes time to like build and like do like really big goals that are like you have to you by being a community member for however long like you'll get there, but you can't just do that. It's always
Well, I know you're saying you can't buy wins, but if you've ever heard any of the drama at the very top of Legends League, then I think maybe you can buy wins and defenses.
well, I mean like on the like like a tax one where it's like what is it I
Right.
was looking at the
Yeah.
other day, I'm like holy shit, and
Long
then I still
term
don't have my
achievement
friend in
thing.
need, right?
Yeah.
What'd you say? A long term?
Like a long term achievement thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because like my friend in needs like at like 500,000, and I'm like that would be really hard to get to pay for. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
something where if you hit 1 billion, all of a sudden you have um maybe only achievement based.
What if they
Something to
get?
stop the
What if they
FOMO.
did this? People love skins. You have a skin for
Yeah.
these achievements where it's like, oh shoot, so and so's got that skin. They only get that from that achievement in the game or something like that.
That's an awesome idea. That's
A
an
base
awesome idea.
skin, hero skin, yeah,
A jacket for a
a
pet
leather
skin.
jacket, a pet
They should do
skin, perfect.
The
that would be cool.
monetization is endless.
Yeah.
But something where that they'll never monetize and only achieve. That would be a
Ooh.
good thing for like a pet, like where
I
you
mean, they
could
already
buy.
do this thing in the game, like the champion statue, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you have
Yeah,
to be in Champs One and have all the medals ready to go, queue it up, you know. So it's like that's a really rare thing, and like, and I know that there are people who care about that, and I think it's cool that it's in the game. But to your point, Scotty, it's like why don't we have more of those things where it's like there's qualifiers, like you have to be at this level, you have to achieve this thing, and then you get either an opportunity, spend your resources on it, or it's an achievement. You get it gifted to you, and it's kind of a badge of honor. I think that would be, yeah, that'd be cool. There should be more of that in the game, especially now the age of the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, like I was playing Population One on VR, where it's like Fortnite but in VR. Um, and then you would get if you made it. And it's been a while since I played it, but if you got it, it was called like the character was PJ, and it was like a PJ jacket. And it was a gold jacket skin, and it was like you saw that person, you knew to probably stay away from them a little bit, right? Like, oh god, it's a gold PJ. You know, there's something status wise that shows some of that, which would be great with like, and I think that was just like the highest level, like you could buy that skin or something. So skins that unlocked at certain tiers or something too.
Sure.
But it sounds like the skin thing is pretty successful. Did you hear about Karl? You're nodding your head.
Yeah, Wu and I talked about this before about like skins and cosmetics like run the video game world these days. Like
Yeah.
it's more important to have uh, an aesthetic uh, marketing scheme than it is to build a good game. Like that's where the money is.
And why
That's
do I need a
crazy.
set? I mean,
And then why do you
like,
want them so bad? Yeah.
yeah, like I'm like, it's not like I look at them very much. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I look at the thing, I go, oh yeah, that's that FOMO. Like,
I,
100%.
what?
I'm sure a true nude like you, Scotty, knows this, but the original skin for the horse mount in World of Warcraft made more money the entire game of StarCraft 2. Like, that's how insane it is.
It's
And that was the
NFT
first
kind of
one.
thing,
That
right?
Blizzard skin was the first one for the horse.
And that's why, like, if that's so like popular and good, that's like exactly why you should have that achievement based thing, right? Like something to get you in to outlast.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the Christmas trees. How many Christmas trees do you have?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
exactly. Yeah.
I did not know that there were new levels added, and I had started an upgrade. Have you played with or like seen or heard anything about these new troop levels and like whether or not they're like making a difference? Like the healers? I was kind of like, oh shit, all of a sudden things aren't working right, but
Y-
So my troops are, even though I'm hardly playing, they're still completely, all the stuff that I'm using is maxed out. I think the only thing I don't have maxed is the new siege machine. Archers are under right now, and I think P.E.K.K.A.s are the last thing. Everything else, the spells. I even did the haste spell because who doesn't have a book of spells sitting around at this point?
yeah, I'm
Or
getting
or 5 or 12 or whatever, right? Um, so yeah, like everything I'm really using outside of archers is maxed out. And I mean, honestly, right now, my biggest bugaboo is, and Carl's already talked about it, is they nerfed the invis, and I was having some success using that RC charge with the invis and the fox, and so now that's changed a little bit, and so it kind of sucks for me because now if I want to have more success, then I have to learn another attack. I'll need to, because I basically just stick with one attack. That's my
that's
mo.
how I kind of roll
Um,
too.
but I did go ahead and upgrade stuff just in case, because the worst, Scotty, the worst feeling is when somebody develops a new attack that, even if it's not totally OP for everybody, but it just clicks with you. Like you say, hey,
Yeah.
bowlers, like if somebody presented you with a new bowler attack and you're sitting there staring at your freaking Inferno drags upgrading for 12 days, buddy, you're spending gems, you're buying a book, and you're going, I got to get those bowlers upgraded now and use this attack. So even though I didn't have any plans of doing anything with these troops, it's like I'm gonna go ahead and just use my resources that I have and get them going as much as I can, because I know there's gonna be a new meta or a new attack that applies to me. So just went ahead and did it. I am after hearing Karl talk about using this troop launcher. I'm feeling the FOMO right now that I unlocked the troop launcher, I upgraded it one level, and then I went and did archers, and I'm like, no, probably should have just kept on the troop launcher. Now, Karl he's being very smug about using that troop launcher, and I
The,
haven't used it
Yeah.
yet. So
He's got a
he's
secret or
he's he's
something.
hitting me. Yeah.
the troop launcher is okay at level 1. Like it
All
will
right.
work. Plus, you can just use your raid medals. That's what I did. I wasted a ton of raid medals uh, on
Wasted.
it, getting it. Yeah.
Raid medals well spent.
Yes,
So
exactly.
tell me,
I thought it was good at level
so
1.
what is, tell me about this thing. Like, I saw the video animation of it. I'm thinking, like, that
It's
is beautiful. Like, that might be something that
yeah.
I probably will be a detriment to my attack because I will want to just play with it just because of what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I know that. I know that feeling.
It's
You're
just
like, I just,
like it's a way that you can it's a way that you can do something in the game that you can't do. You can't
Mm.
you can only deploy troops in certain areas, right? Like the defender will make you so that you can only deploy troops on the outside of your base. This is a way that you can put a specific troop basically at a specific time in the middle of the base, which has never really been a thing that you can put skelly spells, free spells in the middle of the base, but being able to toss a troop into the middle of the action as like reinforcements, you've never been able to do before. So it's like so like some of the common things to do is like the basically Itsu's video is like the one that most people were theory crafting and doing is being able to add cocoa loons to grab traps into the middle of the base. So you can basically throw a loon into the middle of the base to grab traps, and then put ice golems, which is just basically giving you another tank and another free spell to launch. So like his video was, you put a couple small troops to delay, so that way your main force can get into the base, and then you toss in, this is for like smash attacks, for example, that he was doing. Then you toss in a loon to try to grab some traps, and you toss in a couple of ice golems into the main squad to help prevent damage from coming in. And it does work pretty good, like if you get it right. And it's pretty easy to deploy because like once your smash gets going, you just toss the troop launcher in like basically at the end, and then it just takes care of the rest. It'll automatically throw the troops at basically the right time in the right spot, and then you're done. So it is pretty neat. I don't think it's amazing and it's very niche, but I think it was an amazing idea, and they should do more of those type of ideas.
So how does it work exactly? Like it
It
deploys, that shoots it where your troops are that you drop? Is that
where they are at the time. So like
The
you
highest
so
concentration.
yeah, it kind
okay?
of
Kind of like the warden kind of thing, like wherever
yeah.
the warden would,
Mhm.
like if you've got a herd.
Yeah, it's like the troop density, like how your ward follows troop density, very similar. But it paces it out. So you want to put in a couple of small troops first, because like you put it down, you want it to shoot out a couple of small troops and not taking up a lot of space, because you want the bigger troops to come in a little bit later. So like I think he threw in like Itsu's suggestion is for smash attacks to do like minion. So you put in your main force, you drop the troop launcher, it'll throw a minion out, wait a while, throw another minion out, it'll wait a while, and then it'll throw your Coco Loon in. And then by the time that your ice golems come up, like the next troop to get launched, your ice golems, your main squad will be in the middle of the base. So you're like literally launching an ice golem into the heat of the action, right into the major damage, right where all your troops are, and that's like super great.
So it
That's exciting
deploys
to
the
me.
troops in the CC based on the size of the troop.
Yeah,
Which
you get a couple of
doesn't vary.
like junk troops with it. Like it comes with like when you toss it out, it'll throw out like a
Giant
giant and some wall breakers and stuff like
and a
that.
loon, right, or something? Or was that
No
the one
loons.
I?
You usually want to add a loon into your CC typically, because like almost every smash attack has healers, especially in
Yeah.
hard mode. So you usually want to add one loon in, so it's an extra Coco loon for the middle of the base.
So how many actual throws does it get out? Like, because it would basically say like you'd probably want to divide up your CC troops then, right? Like to get like
Yeah,
the
it
most
de-
out of it.
it depends on your level, but if you're putting any amount of like decent sized troops, like ice golems and stuff like that, you're not gonna exceed. Unless you put in a ton of barbs or something, you're never gonna exceed. I'm trying to pull it up right now, but like even on level one, um, oh, let me click on this
Trying to
account.
think of the first things I'm gonna fling into the base. To be
Yeah, so like
honest,
usually you want like junk ones
it's
at
like,
first to kind of help delay, but yeah, I'll bring up whatever. But
what
it's
could
like
you
it's
throw
like
in there that would just like change it up? E-Titan, or would that be
yeah, you could throw an E-Titan in too.
Yetis?
Especially if you weren't running the electro boots, something like that, help soak up some skelly spells and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
wonder if
so
they would add in a.
so at level one, it still has an attack count of 5, and it throws out a giant, a couple barbs, wall breaker, etc. So like that's like you don't have to have it all the way max. It'll still do okay, because you could still throw in, whatever, 2 minions, one like a minion, 2 loons, and 2 ice golems, and that's still pretty good for your attack. Something like that.
Oh, do you think anything will make a comeback on troops like the Super Valk or? I'm
So
just trying to
that was
think about what I'd like to throw into the middle.
Yeah, that was one of the things super that was theory crafted of like it actually makes a super like it actually brings life back into Super Valk of like why don't we give that a try and see what happens. That was something I actually haven't seen it yet, because usually the ice golems are just so good that everyone
Hold my
because
beer.
we
No, I'm just.
yeah everyone's too sweaty to try like fun stuff half the
That's
time.
true.
But a Super Valk is an amazing idea.
So like, so people are like unwilling to get fancy, like to take that.
Most of the time, yes. Like like when you're just goofing around doing like friendly wars, there's unless you're like at a thing that you're actually trying to do something creative, like the events that some of the content creators do, it's very rare you'll find people really goofing around unless you just surround yourself with people that like to do that. Like, so you won't, like when people are just doing friendly wars for fun, you won't see a ton of creative attacks. When you're doing it, you'll just see mostly meta stuff.
Like surefire meta.
Yeah, like roots, drags. Because like right now, roots are still like super good. Like they probably should have got a nerf before the hard mode change, but like the RC charge roots and RC charge drags are still like, I don't know, 60 something percent of the meta, even in comp. So
I still
at least
kept
that's what
with
it
my
feels like.
I kept my RC boots. You know, I'm still running them
Mm-hmm.
same number of. I'm only using 3 invis
Mm-hmm.
because it always goes sideways. But I think I was just so bad at it before that I'm used to her being really weird. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to her health getting down to a sliver, and I just don't panic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, I've just been through it a little bit. But if I find like if I'm really just going in and like really just to the clumps more, like not taking chances outside of the clumps. And then this is probably, you guys are probably doing this already, but like using the uh invis on top of defenses and just getting her in a little bit more, like it just seems to
Mm-hmm.
need to be pressed in, like
Mm-hmm.
really tightened up. But because when she goes in, I have a hope, right? I go, this is where I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go. But if she, you know, I try not to let
Yeah, there
anything hinge on anything for me.
with the nerf for sure. The thing that I'm doing more so differently now, knowing that the timing between the Fox ability and Invis is not as close as it was, is that I'm doing what you're saying, like, hey, okay, she goes in, she takes out the first building, I throw that invis down. She starts doing damage to whatever this next defense is, and maybe it's got a lot of HP and she doesn't take it down all the way. I don't drop an invis in the same spot and let her finish it. I drop an invis on top of it so her aura damage of the boots finishes it off while she moves on to the next building. And you kind of chain that and stack those invis as best you can. That's what I've seen
Yeah.
to be the most successful. I mean, it's definitely trickier to get similar value, and you had to that you could do when this Fox and the Invis lined up better.
What's the rest of your army you're normally,
I'm still
or
doing
what?
the traditional smash with the roots, the Valks, and the healers.
Okay.
The
Karl,
siege
what's your
barracks.
flavor of the month?
Uh,
Yep.
for legends and farming, the roots army is just like too good with the invis nerf got tweaked a little bit, but it didn't really change anything for normal mode. So I tried super bowlers, titans, super hogs, all those things. The roots is just so reliable for average players, which I'm gonna say I definitely am an average player. Um, so for that, it's great. But then in hard mode, like Legends still or Root still works great like the Legends army. You just like can't make any mistakes. You can maybe make like half a mistake, but if you make any mistakes, you're super wrecked. Super Hogs kind of went away. Like they don't really work super great on the new hard mode. And then Smashes, I think, are more viable. And then like honestly, some of the more creative style like attacks or come back in where you can basically just like find like for instance you can like this part of the base has really low coverage for air defenses, so you can use like one e-drag or one dragon rider and take out like a section, and then this base is more successful, so you can do like this place has a good flinger spot, so you can do more of that in hard mode. But otherwise like uh Mass Dragon Riders is pretty good in hard mode now. The Smashes kind of came back in hard mode now. Actually, Lalo kind of came back in hard mode like a little bit. Not that I can do that. Wu can because that was part of his New Year's resolution that he can Lalo. But
Yeah.
but that's kind of what it
Red.
is. But The Roots like is still probably for the average player is still probably the best army for hard mode and normal mode, legends, farming, etc. is what I think. But
How many are you running?
I'm doing I think the 5 Root 6 Valk 4 healer comp with 3 invis like you're doing for the RC charge. That version.
Okay.
But there's like I've seen 4 invis. Some people like to run like more Valks. Like there's like small variants, but basically they're all pretty much the same.
And where are you guys learning your attacks? Are you going on YouTube? Are you learning from each other, or
I do what
like
Fatal tells me to do.
do you?
Be like, woo, do this one. Watch this replay. And I'm like, okay. Literally, the attack that I'm doing right now that I have been doing for almost 2 months, the only reason I'm doing it is because Fatal posted the army and he said, watch this replay. This is what you need to do next week in CWL. And so I was like, okay. And that's what I did. And that's all I've been doing. So
And it
hey,
keeps
if
working.
Fatal's listening right now, feel free to drop a link to a new army in the chat.
A new show me how.
We're definitely spoiled where stuff comes up. Like any of
Yeah.
the new stuff that comes up, we like know about it right away. So there's like
Like the
no
ins and
delay
outs.
for watching YouTube or waiting for anything.
You're in the fast track.
Kind
You're in
of,
like
yeah.
the war command. Watching YouTube catch up down below.
Yeah.
Because I feel like by the time the update actually hits, that people have like theory crafted it, and I don't have any inside knowledge, Scotty. I really don't. People think that I do. I don't have any inside knowledge, but something that I do know is people have the dev builds, and I would be very, very surprised if people didn't test everything in the dev build. So day one it comes out, they already kind of know what's good or bad. I don't wanna, say that people are
100%.
getting a competitive advantage to have a dev build, but it seems to me that, it could be a thing.
Well, even been able to think about. Even knowing something's going to be there, or what it could be, gives you.
I mean, let's be real.
I'd have been
If
thinking
I was
about
in
super bowlers for a long time.
Right. If I
I
was
just
in
got
the
rid of my army.
NDA, if I was in the NDA chat, right, I wouldn't
Mhm.
break my NDA, but I would tell my clanmates, hey, before you do this, might want to think about saving some resources for bowlers. Just saying. It's like, I'm not going to
Huh.
say, hey, the update
No bowler.
has a bowler level in it, but I would just say, hey, maybe it'd be fun. We should practice doing some super bowler hits and maybe save some resources in case they get stronger in the future sometime. Like, so even if you don't, and I'm sure conversations are happening that are way more direct than the way I'm portraying it. But I mean, yes, obviously, if you have access to that information, it's like you're already living in the future. You can play test things because you're about to make some content about it. You have to come out day one with content, so you get the play test, and you get that inside track on what your advantage is going to be day one, and that drives even more people to spend the money and go, I have to have it all because there's a thing that somebody else already knows what to do with, and I need to catch up.
Yeah, it's hard to wait for the average. I mean, I
Get a little
I
sweaty. Yeah, you want the
Huh?
toys. If you get a
What's
little
that?
sweaty and you want
Yeah.
the toys, it's kind of like it's hard to wait for sure.
And even now, I feel like it is like, well, I guess there's just more levels of stuff. So like with the books and things like that you can choose it, but I was thinking of like back in the day when it was like 2 weeks for for the next level. But yeah, I guess there is more stuff out there. And doing that.
But
Do you
there
guys want to?
hasn't
Oh,
been
sorry.
anything new really that's come up with the update. There's like no new attacks. It's all the same stuff or old stuff. Re-put back in, and even like adding the troop launcher is just a variant of like a smash or whatever. There's been nothing actual new in the meta. It just because hard mode is so hard, and you have to go find those little, those little tiny advantages here and there. It just brought back, like fun or like what I consider fun or like niche little things to do because that weren't there because all the normal stuff was like too good and why risk it. So that's the only thing that's really changed. to me.
And
And like normal mode not changed at all. Make a couple of troops a little bit more viable, super bowls a little more viable. But honestly, if you're good with them, they probably were okay before because it's mostly pathing. It's just kind of like the risk of failure is what changed the meta at all.
and I think that where Carl has made the point about earlier when he talked about the Skelly Donut and why it's so disappointing is that game is in such a state right now to where we have these meta attacks that are kind of applicable at multiple different town hall levels. And so having right now just being able to tweak your opener based on the base design is an important skill to have, is to say, okay, I can fireball this, I can skelly donut that, I can flinger this, I can Sui hero that, I can RC charge this, I can warden charge that. Like you have these different openers, and then your supporting army or whatever your smash is, or you're going to pick off with rocket loons or whatever, is kind of secondary. So to take one of those away is kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you make the game to where we get, right now the only thing that we kind of tweak is that opener to these meta attacks. So like, why would you take one of those
Mhm.
away?
Oh, I forgot to mention too. Uh, one of the other big changes is that like a lot of people were like, warden charges are going to come back in because now smashes are more viable. With the changes, roots might not be as good, so there's gonna be more fireball attacks. Let me do that. Probably the biggest change for me has been even with that healer level that you were talking about, Scotty. And I'm talking about hard mode again. How easy is it for you to lose your warden? Like it was already like a risk if you're not like super paying attention or could
Mm.
anticipate stuff. How easy it is to lose your warden in hard mode is like mind-blowingly. Like it's exponentially easier for you to have your warden
Okay.
super nuked. Like that has probably been the biggest
I thought
one
I was
is
just crazy. I was like, did
no,
something
no.
happen to the warden get nerfed that I just didn't know about or something? Okay, that
Oh
makes
man.
sense.
He takes
I put the
he
healer
is
back on it or
fragile.
the pony
Yeah.
back on him. Like,
Yeah, have the warden ride the
I don't,
pony still doesn't help much, but yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Do you think like that was? Do you think it's gonna catch up? So like when Town Hall 17 hit, right? Like the changes that came in, like people were saying like it was too easy at first, and I don't know if that's changed in what you guys kind of are hearing or experiencing, but like it seemed like it took a while for it to bank in, and maybe like as we were talking, like you guys are just seeing the changes like right away. But do you think some of it could be things that need to catch up, or I mean, yeah, if that
like the
makes
what
sense to
like
the
what's the
question.
balance of the game right now, like on normal mode
Well, just like
with
with
the
after
update?
the update, yeah. And I guess, I mean, as I say that now, I'm like, well, you're in that mode like we're talking about where getting you're seeing all the stuff implemented. People are maxing things out right away. So, but like with the Town Hall 17 update, I guess it took me a while to see it really start to hit further in, right? Like
Mm.
in my attacks that I was just doing, because like the Town Hall weapon wasn't upgraded right away,
Mhm.
for a lot of players and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, where you where are you at in Legends, Karl?
I'm floating around. Where am I? So I missed a day was the problem, but I was like in that like 56 to 57 range, and then I missed a day. So like some of the higher players in the clan right now are like 58 ish. Um, for what we're seeing for what people are posting for their logs. So like right in there, I'd say the majority of us are 56 to 58 right now. And it's
Okay.
what just a day. It's a couple days after Valentine's Day in the month, so right about that point.
And we still have a bunch of days. I'm just getting used to this
Yeah,
stuff, like for the first time, really, like kind of seeing how it all. I mean, it
yeah.
had that first month, but
If you're still not putting up 300 to 320, like you're like 290 to 300, you're like treading water. Like you need to be over 300 to do anything. Otherwise, you might go even or go negative. There's still like a lot of minus 320 days that you take up there in Legends.
when did you see your base starting to get like So I'm at 5,500, right?
Yeah. 5,500 in the middle of the month, you'll probably still kind of be okay. I bet your defenses are what, like 240 to 280. Sometimes you'll probably have a minus 300 day or two.
No,
Probably in there.
no, I think my defenses are what's holding me down. Let me see. Yesterday was 237, minus 237.
Oh yeah, that's a good defensive day. If you can get a minus
That's
237, you should be
that's
doing pretty
usually
good.
every day, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah, those are good defenses then.
When when do you think that's going to change?
I think if you were 100 cups above that, you'd be taking minus 280 to 300 at this point in the month. Because it kind of depends on like time in and cups. So I'd say, let's say that you do really well in the next week and you're up in that 57, 58 range, you'll be taking like minus 3 to 310, I bet. Unless you get a ghost night base, then you'll be minus 320. I'm just
Worth
but I
every
think
penny. Minus
I think
320.
because there's so much defenses to upgrade. I really think that normal mode is going to be in an okay state once everyone gets those defenses, and when everyone gets those defenses in hard mode, I think it's going to be like really discouraging for anybody but the best of the best. I think that people are going to get. I think it's going to be harder than 15. I feel like 10 to 10 wars are going to be very common for like the average comp team things. I think that hard mode, once everything goes up, unless we get some more toys, because let me tell you, for as much as I meme the snake bracelet, it's not going to carry your attack. I think hard mode is going to be like real rough for average to above average teams, but I think
Clark,
normal mode's actually going to be pretty good.
Carl, you're going to have a little more
Balance
confidence in your snake bracelet.
Oh,
You got to walk.
man.
You got to walk with the 23 in mind, not the 17.
Yeah.
Oh, but it just I don't know. Maybe I'm just too fixated on it, but it just feels like the amount of defensive upgrades is so mountainous, and by the time that you actually get there and all those little incremental adds have like add up,
You
unless
forgot what it's
somehow
like to be a Town Hall 9, haven't you?
yeah, I mean,
It's been so long at the top.
yeah. It's like hard to actually tell because like what it would be, but I think that 17 hard mode 17, unless they do something crazy on the offense, might be the hardest town hall. It might be as hard as like the uh heal blocking town hall 10 days. Hard as the hardest town hall 15 days. It might be up there in like the stratosphere of like that Mount Rushmore of hardest town hall things. Is my
Was this what people were asking for?
uh the um the vocal minority was. Nobody else nobody else was. The top 1% of the 1% did ask for this, and they by golly got what they wanted. But no, I think that people would have been happy with hard mode going from 5% to 10%, and then normal mode been fine once you got all the defenses. I don't think anyone saw 20%, and they got more than they bargained for. It's just my 2 cents on it.
I think it was Ghost Knight that kind of mentioned it to me, or I heard it first in passing, and oh, we got a new hard mode. That's how I heard it, And then, and what I was thinking in my mind was that, oh, they're adding I thought there was hard mode 1, hard mode
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of seemed like a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Oh, I agree 100%.
To say, we've got this. Which hard mode would you like?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the next
And
one
look,
hard mode with vengeance.
Yeah, and I think I had made the point, or we at least talked about it, where it's like it's perfectly fine to establish that worlds or whatever tournament is going to be run at a certain level, but for people that just want to dip their toe in the water, to go from you know normal mode up to a plus 20% without a lot of experience. I mean, it's a pretty it's going like Karl said, it's going to be a steep learning curve. There's going to be a lot of lower scoring wars. So I don't think there would have been any problem with giving us a
I'm
slider
certainly
and saying,
surprised today.
hey, you can do 5, you can do 10, you can do 20. And when you send that friendly war challenge, this people sending the friendly can select which hard mode you're going to play in. It's I don't think it would be that difficult.
And then let's take it another further. I think what could be done, even if they didn't want to like make it where you're like you have full control over the custom army, right? Or like, you know what I mean, the full control over the tournament or the mode. Like leaving things out like you've talked about or whatever. But that Supercell could even put up a mode for the month.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like with limitations, like, okay, whatever this month's thing is, enter that arena, doing that. I mean, even if they didn't want to do it on that very small level, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, too, if some of that isn't to keep the esports within Supercell a little bit more, kind of around them. Like if you could kind of create your whole an entire league around this type of mode, right? Like the No Siege League, or I don't know.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Doom game coming out? It's Doom The Dark
No,
Ages. Have you seen it? First of
No.
all, oh my god, it looks fucking amazing. Like
really?
so good. But what you're saying about the sliders, they put that in the game. They put every little individual element as a like
Yeah.
not only for difficulty but for like how much speed you want to do. So like that kind of adjustability for your gameplay. And I get it that that's a single player versus like I mean this kind of is a single player, but it's a multiplayer. As well. So they did that. And I actually asked a whole bunch of people just like hanging on Discord, like what you're saying. You could have like, you know, the hard mode that's the original one. Then you can have the slider that goes up to 10%. And you call that like tournament mode. And then you can have like the pro mode that's 20. And so I did like a little impromptu poll on it. And everyone was basically like, they had a couple of different like variants on like why, but everyone basically said that they would just jump to the pro mode anyways, which I thought was like pretty interesting. That they all kind of basically said that they would have even themselves they would skip everything and go straight to the hardest that the game would give them because that's what like the top pros were going to do. So I thought that was like an interesting because I would have been like, no, I want to be able to triple sometimes. I want to do the tournament mode. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little impromptu poll I did, and they all basically said that they would do the max, which was
That's a great, yeah,
different
that's
than what I was
interesting.
thinking they would say.
That's what
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe that makes me think, well, then Supercell would probably have to do it where you had to earn your way, like CWL leagues or something.
Yeah, well, that's what people were thinking that or they want to have happen is once you hit a
Right.
certain point in Legends, it would flip it over to the harder mode. So like people want that. Like let's say that you hit 5600, now all of a sudden you're at hard mode or whatever, or 5700 you're at hard mode to like really give it that like top end skill. Like the players competing for top 1K, top 200, you're in hard mode, you're really seeing what they're bringing to the table. That is a common thing I've heard people say they want.
So what is it that's missing for them?
Uh, for Supercell to do that, or for the
Well,
players like
like
their experience in
the
Legends.
yeah, like that I mean, that top 1,000 or that like what is it really at the bottom or I mean at the base level, like what is that are people are wanting?
They
Because
want
I'm
to defend. They want a chance
Yeah.
at defending, and they want to like not have to go 320 or bust.
Yeah.
They want some more skill to it. That's what they want.
well, isn't that pure skill?
Mm, not in the meta
No,
of the
no. I mean,
game.
I was just kind of throwing that out there. Like I don't
Yeah,
I'm like
no.
I think they don't want to be like they don't want to look at a warlog that's plus 320 minus 320 every day or pretty close to it. Like I think that's what they want. It's they don't want like they want something that's a little bit more variability in like if you have a good base or you trap it a certain way or if you have a really cool like take on your attack army in the meta that you can like find an angle on it. They want a little bit more of that gamesmanship in their vice. Like I'm just really good at drags. I'm gonna get 320 no matter how good the base is. That kind of thing.
I almost wondered like could you just take out defenses, but that doesn't quite.
Yeah, no. That won't solve the problem because most of the players are going plus 320, minus 320 when you're getting to these higher levels. And that's why there's even a market for buying defenses at that top echelon of Legends League. You know, the scandal of this person's paying for, 2-star defenses against the other top players, or trading, trading wins, basically win trading there at the top level. Um, and this would be, I feel like this wouldn't be such a terrible ask and not too terribly hard to integrate, because we already push a button when we go to Legends League and we're agreeing to the terms of what Legends League means. So you just have to set a new threshold and you push the button or you don't. And in that case, you decide not to push the button, then your cups are capped. You can stay right there. Let's say it's at 5,900. You stay right at 5,900. You never go above 5,900. You can drop below it, but you can't go above it. And you can still get your 8 attacks in every day for loot or whatever. But you'll never go above 5,900 until you press that button and say, yes, I want to earn more than 5,900 cups, and it activates the hard mode.
Or even just say, in classic mode, I'm doing classic. I'm going to do the hard tier and then the Uber tier, right? Like, and let the,
See,
or
and I
even,
think that would be more appropriate if there was more of a single player or a player submitted base map
yeah,
where
that's true.
you could click it over, right? Because then you're kind of like, okay, I'm in Titans, but I'm doing it in hard mode. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
what I mean, there's kind of not a point to it at that point, because you're not playing at top level. You're farming or whatever. I mean, you might be practicing and trying to get better, but like base designs at that level, even in low legends, are not even close to what you're going to see in the higher level of legends. So the hard or not hard doesn't really matter. I mean, low legends, there's bases right now in low legends that still have holes in the base.
Yeah.
It's like, and the update's been out for long enough for people to not have holes in their base.
I start to wonder, like, could it be like the number of attacks? Like, are you kind of saying, like, at that level to take it to a just maybe not like something to kind of set aside and just make it just achievement, so there's not something taken like, so remember in the old days, right? It was like you just had to wait for the clouds, and it was about doing that, being on and
Mm,
climbing that way.
mm.
Um,
That was terrible, by the way. It
Mhm.
yeah, that's
was
why I never
awful.
did it. It was like
Yeah,
because people just
the terrible play experience. Yeah. So the Legends League basically puts you in a pool and your base is always available, right? Like
yeah,
that's how the game changed. So there are no clouds. We took away the clouds because you're just in a pool and your base is sitting there and you just get a random draw and somebody gets your base.
yeah,
So the solution with the hard mode in Legends 2.0 would just be, we have a certain player base that plays at that top 1% or 1/10 of 1%, that is basically saying, like, the normal mode is too easy, period. I don't want to play in normal mode ever, because I play competitively. I'm competitive in war, I'm competitive in CWL, I'm competitive in everyday my attacks. I want to play in hard mode all the time. And you can, and we've talked about this before, like Scotty, I don't play with event troops. Period.
yeah,
Rocket launchers, this and that. I never play with them anymore because Lava Lunion completely broke that for me. That attack was so easy to just spam and get a triple, and you do it for a whole month while the event's going, and then next CWL rolls around, and you're like, I'm completely out of practice
yeah,
of just doing a freaking normal attack, and I'm a noob. So it's like, I know guys that are highly skilled, they can swap between attacks like that and do really well. I wasn't that
yeah.
way, right? So you can
Me either.
imagine somebody who's playing competitively and playing in hard mode, friendly, friendly wars in hard mode, FCs in hard mode, competitive league play in hard mode, and then their CWL and their legends that they're doing on a regular basis and their normal wars that they're doing on a regular basis are in normal mode. It doesn't do them any good. It's like playing with a cheat code. It's like playing with event troops that are broken. There's no reason for them to do it that way.
They're just that good.
that upper echelon is, yeah, for sure.
Well, and that's why I was kind of wondering though before, like when I was asking like about the experience, right? Is it that mode is that easy, or is it just they want the constant warring?
They want the
You,
challenge. They want to differentiate. They want to gatekeep,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I don't have any business being at 6,000 trophies. I haven't been there, but like that's like me and another player can be at the same cup level and they can be leaps and bounds ahead of me in skill because the meta allows me to be there. They want the meta to not allow a player like me to be at that same level. They want there to be
Only
separation.
fancy.
And they're and they're not wrong with that. You know, they're not wrong with that thought process. I think they're right to think that.
That makes sense. I hadn't made connected it that way. That like, I mean, I heard it that way, but I hadn't. I get that now. Like, it is. Is it just the defenses then also that the meta enables, right?
I think it's mainly right. I mean, you have to look at it from both sides, right? So, like, if there's a meta attack that, like Karl's saying, like, hey, roots are really good, right? So if you can get good at that attack to where you don't make many mistakes on various different base designs, then like you can go plus 320. But then someone can just do right back to you. So it's like if you're like your base can't defend. So having that extra, challenge that nerfs your troops and buffs the defense gives you a chance to defend and gives you a chance to like Karl said, hey, right now in normal mode, you can make a few mistakes with the root attack and you can still triple. But in hard mode, you can make half a mistake. So what they want to say is like, I'm good enough to make 0 mistakes. I watched a replay on my base and this guy made 3 mistakes. He still tripled me. Feels bad. I don't want to have
Mhm.
that play experience because I'm not making mistakes on offense. Guys are making mistakes on my base and they're still tripling. Like, what's the point? So, like, what's the point of getting that good at the game and building a great base and learning a great attack, being really proficient at it, if somebody can just drop troops in a corner and smash my base? So it's like we need that extra tier so that the players that are playing at that level can feel like my defensive design matters and my offensive skill attacking matters.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking like, that's a wow, that's a really tough problem to solve. Then, like, could you do it by? I'm
Turn
thinking,
on hard
hard
mode.
mode defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the
Just turn
problem.
it on at a
Those
certain level. You opt in. You opt in simply. Like if you want to push up to that cup level, you can just click a button and go hard mode is on from now on, and I can keep earning cups. And there's other rewards and other things like that. They just go into a new pool. That's it.
just do like how it is with legends at um 5,000 or whatever. Like,
100%.
do you want to sign up at 6,000? Do you want to sign up?
Right.
And then kick back and forth, and then they could reset at maybe the leaderboard would spell overtime.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to do shout outs?
Let's
Absolutely.
do it.
All right. What do you got?
I mean, I just feel like the shout out the whole CGJ crew. We had a real rough go in CWL.
Yeah.
I it's rough for me to say, Scotty, but we double demoted. Not only do we demote the podcast clan, but we also borrowed a Champs One clan and absolutely got dumpstered. So hey, shout out. We had a rough month. So now we have 2 clans that we have to somehow
You
promote
broke it,
back
you
up.
bought it. No.
That's why we can't have nice things. But the comp team is actually doing pretty good, getting quite a few wins. We actually are winning. The new hard mode has been pretty good to us so far. So we've been doing pretty good so far on that one. But obviously a rough CWL month, especially when it's to the point now where we had another missed attack. I don't know. I don't want to belabor the point or whatever. Anyways, but just shout out to everyone for keeping with it.
You're
Comp
just
team
like,
doing really
let's
good.
just get to the next one. We'll pretend let's just get this one past us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Shout out to like all the small Twitch streamers that are still streaming and like providing some like community thing that you can hop on it late at night and like get on there
Yeah.
and do wars with them and stuff like that. I feel like that's a real underrated thing in the community. Quite a few of the small Twitch streamers, and then like obviously have to shout out the real leaders of C2J, Ghost Knight and NBA PK. Thank you so much for your amazing leadership. I don't know what I have ever like. The clan would have completely fallen apart by now if it wasn't for their spectacular leadership. I feel like they should be like giving TED Talks, honestly, on how to
Lead
inspire and lead the
the
crews. So yeah,
the
huge shout
leadership
out to
seminar.
them. Yeah.
Let me just say
Very
something real
nice.
quick. PK's leadership style is literally it's like having a light, you got a light switch, it's got like a dimmer on it, there's levels, there's gradients to it. Or maybe you have a device that you can tell, hey, turn my light to 15% or 50% or 75%, right? PK is an old style light switch. He's either completely on or completely off, right? He's either like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Somebody please tell me what I need to do. Or, bro, that attack was trash. What do you think you're doing? It's literally, that's all he's got. It's either up or down. That's it. It's very interesting to see.
Last shout out to the Wolf Pack, the clan has been resurrected from the grave for the 17th time.
No
They're
kidding.
back. They're back in action. They've been recruiting. They got a lot of new recruits in there. Now with you add on all those new recruits, the clan being resurrected and PK as leader. I mean, the sky's the limit for this clan. I could foresee Champs 1 easy with this clan. So, congratulations, the Wolfpack, for being resurrected once again. Good job, everybody. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Those were good shout outs. Karl, I just have one big shout. I mean, you've really hit some highlights there. Yeah, I mean, it was a rough CWL. I got to give a shout out to Knob for having an absolutely amazing CWL. I know he was mad that we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it last. We didn't talk about it last podcast. Oh wait, no, we actually did talk about it. And now that I think about it, Knob did terrible this CWL. He's right back to form, right back with me at the bottom of the leaderboard, the clan. Plenty of room down here, pal. So yeah, shout out to Knob. I know he had a rough one, and I know he was beating himself up half the week, like most of us were. And yeah, shout out to the FTB C2J guys and all the FTB guys. You guys are. I mean, I see the chat going. Like I'm sitting at work and I'm seeing like message after message after message. And I'm like, these guys are just living their best life, and I'm stuck in a cubicle, right? So that feels bad. But yeah, shout out to you guys for all that stuff. And shout out to Green Arrow. We're talking about leadership. Let's bring back the greatest leader we ever had in C2J history. Let's bring back Green Arrow. Hashtag bring back Green Arrow. That's what I got for shout outs. Scotty. Oh, and you know what? Last thing, shout out to Scotty for being brave.
What a legend.
He dipped his toe in the water. He's hung around long enough. We haven't scared him away. And we're back on the show again. So hopefully you don't have to do a lot of editing.
Being here.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
All right, good.
In fact, I didn't barely on the last one. Thank you guys for being here. This is really fun, and it's been really cool. Getting to know you and being part of coming over and being part of the community or seeing the stuff that you guys are doing too. It's just you have a really good, really open community. Really great group of people to be around. And big shout out to the House of L. I've been making these player cards that I'm working on. What did you think of your guys's, by the way? Karl, you need some editing?
Let me tell you.
Amazing. I'm so hyped. Like it's been very I try to keep my nerdisms within the safe space of the interwebs. The player card was so amazing. I even showed people that have no idea that I play video games because I was so hyped.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was so amazing.
Okay, cool.
The pick. We still haven't seen what kind of shenanigans you have on the back end yet.
Yeah, that
So I'm
part's
still
kind of
Flipping it
coming.
over.
I'm still
Yeah.
excited for that as well, especially since a little behind the scenes, behind the curtain.
Oh yeah.
Scotty and I also like to,
I've-
occasionally slide in each other's DMs, talk a little comic book, a little superhero business too. So there's like a little inside thing as well going on there, um,
I did
that
like
like
the,
fits in with the player cards. So that's like super amazing.
That's
and then you
good.
did have your parking pass one that.
Oh, yeah,
Decent,
the
decent.
parking garage one was real good.
That's really cool. Yeah,
That'll be
it's
my counter. The
kind of
hard
doing
counter
these
to Karl is the parking.
kind of doing these player like kind of fantasy Kryptonian type player cards. But the first thing I did with, and I'm keeping working on them. But like we did our worlds thing, and then I have like all the player of all the roster or whatever. Each player has the thing with the name, but still keep going on those things. But
That's
man,
cool.
they're fun to
That's
make.
really
So.
cool.
So
yeah.
yeah, big shout out to you guys. Again, thanks for being. I was really looking forward to it, and uh, other shout outs. Shout out to Ghost Knight, who was on last week. Kind of, I think he got the. I don't want to say the ball rolling, but he inspired. You could see the inspiration. He talked about base building, and I could see everybody chatting about how they're doing tweaks and stuff this week, which was really cool. And it's always cool to be able to like dig into thinking about that stuff and just tweaking it. Especially with the post update new level thing, like everybody's looking for bases and stuff. So it's like the perfect time to experiment. Other than that, get a hold of us, clashclanspodcast@gmail.com or clashclanspodcast.com. C2J guys, the Crystal Join podcast. Where else to
Links
get a
are in
hold
the
of you guys?
description.
Links are in the description.
Scotty, question for you. I know you're trying to wrap up the show, and Wu and I are dragging it on. The
No, absolutely.
amount, the amount of inside humor that basically Wu and I show now is like 95% inside humor at this point in time.
All
Do you
bit.
have? Yeah. I gotta ask, has there at least been one time that from the last episode that people were like, what are these two idiots talking about, when we go mention some kind of niche thing that you wouldn't have been able to get unless you listened to like 7 specific episodes of the C2J podcast?
No, I think what, if anything, it would be me not knowing something or remembering something. Do you know what I mean? Where they're like, or even if like you guys were like talking about like, or if like guests like talk about strategy and stuff, like it's usually they already know the stuff, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, oh yeah, that's right. Um, from the last one, just a little shit from the name stuff. None more than I gave myself, though. I'll tell you, like that was one of the. I don't know. It was just
You got so
a
much
moment.
kudos for that. You were already
Oh.
beloved, and then when you were fucking with
Oh.
Wu's name, everyone was like,
No, and it
"This
was
is
They
amazing."
loved it. They loved it. I was a little punching bag, and they
Oh,
fucking loved it. And I'll be
oh
honest
my
with you, dude,
God! It's
I
just like,
loved it too. You have.
oh,
Let me tell you something, Scotty. I love scuffed shit like that. Like, I'm not even lying to you. I love it. I know it wasn't a bit, but I wish it. Like, I couldn't have. Like, we could have planned that, and I couldn't have been happier. Like, I absolutely loved it. Honestly,
oh
it's
my
perfect.
God!
I
I
love
don't
it.
know if I told you this, but like one time I was in a play, and the entire time the girl's name was Myrtle.
All right.
All right, here we're going. The entire time I was in the play, I didn't know what word was going to come out of my mouth, if it was going to be Myrtle or Muriel. And I was always saying Muriel, and they'd stop it and they'd correct me, and I would have no idea. I could tell you embarrassing stories like that for days. Twins. Oh, that's rough.
Twins. That's twins and Scott. I love it.
Oh.
Oh
And
my god! So
twins.
speaking of plays, we forgot to shout out some more inside humor for you, Scotty. We happen to have a Clash of Clans player in the clan that's a professional ballet dancer. Uh, little known fact: Schumann, aka Beans. We call him Beans because all he does is eat beef and beans. Anyways, he's a professional ballet dancer.
Awesome.
Recently, tore some tendons in his knee. I can't remember if it was ACL, PCL. I think it was PCL. Anyways, recently
need him
tore some
anyways.
PCL. He's on the mend. So we were actually planning on going to watch one of his plays, but then he got injured. So he's on the mend. He'll be back soon.
How convenient. How
Yeah, so we'll be able to. Yeah, we'll be able to finally go. So shout out for Beans, who's on the mend, so to say.
Yeah.
Well, shout out. Yeah. He didn't need those tendons anyways. Overrated.
Bro, they are. Hey, when you get to be 29 and a half like we all are, they get to be a little overrated.
He didn't need them all. Just weak thinking.
Yeah.
Well, his
hard mode. This is the hard mode of life. Like 20%
his original rehab until he completely tore it was just to get blindingly drunk to suffer through the pain. So I probably not doctor recommended.
Well, you gotta work through this.
Yeah, just
start small.
Bite the pillow, Beans. Bite the pillow and grit it out. There you go.
There you go. Well, make sure you follow these guys on the Crystal to Join podcast. That's Crystal space 2 space join. The number 2, by the way. You can get a hold of me at clashofclanspodcast@gmail.com or clashofclanspodcast.com. You can find all the information for House of L, contact info, all of that. Thanks again, everybody. Until next time, keep it clashy.
Skilly beep boop, skilly beep.